Hi everyone. So we'll quickly start with introductions. So I'll start with mine. So I handle the merchandising and I head the merchandising and planning solutions at Incref. So Incref as a company has two verticals, one on the warehouse management side and one on the merchandising solutions bit. So we have an entire suite of merchandising solutions, right from merchandise financial planning, assortment planning, inventory optimization, inventory planning, like replenishment allocations, and then markdown managements. So I had the product and success part of that particular business of Incref. Uh,
Hi, I'm Jeevika Tyagi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aastey. Aastey is the largest sustainable athleisure that we have in our country right now for women. And we also happen to be size inclusive. There's a lovely community we've built over the years on our Instagram. It's called Live Aastey. And Aastey basically means, if you know the Hindi word, take it easy, Aastey Aastey chalo. That's exactly what the brand is trying to say to everybody, just to take it easy.
Hi, I am Amar Preet Singh. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Neeman Shoes. So Neeman is India's first startup to make shoes made up of sustainable and recycled materials. So we have crafted shoes out of plastic bottles, crafted shoes from merino sheep, crafted slippers from recycled tires. So we use innovation to build our products, and we only use materials which are available within the environment, which can be recycled. So we don't use anything which harms the environment. We don't use plastic, we don't use leather, we don't use animal skin, we don't harm the environment. The brand ethos is as such that we focus on recycled materials or something which is doing good for the environment. And in 6 years of start, we are now become the fastest growing footwear startup within the country.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sandip, and I work for an organization called AstorMueller. This is a 100-year-old European footwear organization, and we manage business of brands like Bugatti, Bagat, and we've just launched a sneaker brand called Newbeat. In this aspect, we are a player both online and offline, Newbeat being our first brand, which is exclusively online in partnership with Myntra. So,
Hi everyone, I'm Vani. I'm the co-founder and director at D2C. We are the only innerwear brand that focuses on the under 25 young women demographic of India. We make innerwear that's comfortable, cool, and fun, and we do period care that's sustainable and reusable, and gynecologist tested and recommended. We've also created a community of Gen Z and Alpha women who are bold and bindas just like us.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashutosh Kumar. I'm founder of brand Offmint. So Offmint is all new age fast fashion brand. We are like very new in the market. We are like from last 6 months operating in the market, and we have like 1,000+ SKUs working with us right now. And we are into men's, women's, and coming up in kids category. Right now, we are available online from our D2C site and some marketplaces, and we are really coming soon in retail space with Broadway. Thank you.
okay, so we do have a good mix of panelists here. So we have two people from the footwear industry, one person from the innerwear industry, and two people from a brand which is fairly new. So each of them will be having a different set of challenges, very unique challenges to their own niche business, which we'll be talking and focusing more about, around inventory optimization and how each of them have been leveraging technology or see the scope to leverage technology in future to tackle their situation. So starting with brands who are fairly new, so Jeevika for you and Ashutosh for you. So when you don't have any historical data, so you are doing something new for the first time, you're launching a new brand to a new TG, you're not very sure what will sell more, what will sell less. So how do you take those calls or those decisions that how many options you need to buy and what depth you need to buy? So starting with Jeevika.
Hi, we've actually been around for 3+ years. This is our 4th year in business, but it's a relevant question because at some point we were new. And, the initial inventory ordering, if that's where the question lies, is definitely based on like existing insights about the industry you're entering. So for us, we had a lot of existing data because we're in the fashion industry. And while bottom wear is a segment that we sort of discovered, we were one of the first to democratize the bottom wear for women in India. We were still able to understand, what is the need gap. And the first need gap that we were able to identify in terms of sizing, which is a core way to order inventories to understand, how many SKUs you need for a certain size. Since the idea was to be size inclusive, we spent a lot of time, in fact, almost 9 months just to collect this data through our community, which was already live on Instagram, through our 𝐤𝐳𝐵𝐞 page, even before we took the brand to the market. And the biggest learning that we had was actually the biggest bestseller of this business, which is that on average, an Indian woman is 5'4" and below. And she's still shopping for global brands that are made longer in length. So you'll see a lot of us compromise with activewear and wear leggings that have a churidar effect at the end, which is not needed. You can just introduce more lengths, right? And that's exactly what we did. So our first leggings, which I'm wearing today also, is our bestseller. It's called EUL, Extreme Uplift Leggings. It has 5 pockets, everything that good leggings would give, a lot of functionality. But it's 100% sustainable, something that does not exist in the Indian market. And also, it happens to be the right length for my height. And if you are 5'4" and below, then you can go for a different length. So for us, we used the insights that we had from the community to drive our first set of, ordering. A very interesting way to sort of take this entire old school community to commerce approach and understand that, insights can be driven from your own community, if not just industry standards. So that's what's worked for us. Yeah.
Okay. So you now have fair amount of data to back up your initial insights as well, to course correct them. And
Correct.
so Ashutosh, in your case, this
it's a constant learning, and we were D2C for a very long time before we went to marketplaces. So that also definitely helped us.
Yeah. So Ashutosh, in your case, is relatively fairly new. You don't even have currently an entire year's data to back up what decisions you are taking today, if they're right or wrong. So at this stage, how are you taking those calls on what options, how many options to make, how much inventory to produce?
Basically, for a new brand like us in the clothing scene, where fast fashion, where we have to launch everything like something new in every 15 days or 1 month, because the trend is always like changing in the fast fashion scene. So we do rely on trend forecasting first, like what trend is coming up. And for my brand, there is one leverage that I have one office in London with my investors. So there is one team who look after the international designs, and they send us the design and inspiration from that very market, like UK market, Istanbul, all the places we got it there. And we plan like whole year, like we have planned for next season, winter, upcoming, like next summer. So we have all the plans ready, and we go up with our instinct first, like what we have to make, for which market we are making. For example, my main market in Offmint, we are targeting like the tier 3, tier 2 cities where there's no such fashion scene. So the design we do are not that much of loud, which is not acceptable in the towns like tier 3 city, where people are not going to wear something very flashy, very like very much bold fashion. So we do design, we do like fast fashion, which is acceptable in the cities like tier 3 or less than tier 3 cities. So the sales which we are getting are from those very places. My bestseller right now is a cord set, which is having 12 pockets on it. So 12 pocket can be sound like very loud, but the design that we have kept is very minimal, like the pocket are of same color. So when you are wearing it, it's not looking so loud, but it looks fashionable. So we are generally targeting on the people who are not having that much access, like the people in Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore have in the fashion, but also like the fashion, the clothes they are wearing should be acceptable in their town, in their city, in their places, in their mohallas. So like no one can, what the hell you are wearing over here. So that type of clients we are focusing right now. And for the designing and for the inventory part of view, obviously we go with a low MOQ production in the starting. And from our performance marketing and Google Analytics, and we see like what kind of traction we are getting for some. So we keep our base things ready, like the trims for that particular design, like the fabric. We keep that ready and cut if we think like, okay, and one more thing that we are doing as a new brand, we are using the same material for many other designs also. Like if there is a fabric, it is going to use for the cargos also, it is going to use the sackets also. So the base product might be same, but the designing is different. So we are keeping the raws ready. We have our own production unit, so that's one leverage with us to produce the low ammo queues. So whatever we feel, okay, this is going to work or this is working, we again reproduce that product. But in the starting, we go with the low production.
Got it. So you are able to leverage your agile supply chain
Yes.
to play safe and not actually
Right
pile
now
up
we are
inventory.
playing safe, but as we are entering the retail scene, so obviously we have to be playing with the inventory now.
Got it. So a similar situation, so for a brand like D2C, which has been in the market for quite some time, but still a new situation for you, Vani, has been venturing out into a new channel all itself, like the offline channel, which comes with its own set of challenges as far as inventory optimization, inventory planning is concerned. So would you like to speak about your challenges or what difficulties you faced while taking that?
Absolutely. So till we didn't go offline, our inventory management was very, very sharp. We have an in-house system. We sell products online. The products are sold in combos. Our inventory, we made dashboards in our system which would predict how much fabric we have. We have an in-house production unit as well. So how much fabric we have, what are the components that can go out of stock in 15 days. So that way, we launched our first collection in 2020. We've never been out of stock on any online platform for our top sellers. The challenge arose when we tried a new GTM offline, and we went through the general trade model, which is a very heavy inventory play model. And that is where we ended up having major issues. So before this, our dead stock levels were 3%. Once we went offline, we had to play very heavily in inventory. We had to place stock in a lot of stores. The challenge happened when we planned very aggressively and the inventory came back. Because some of it we were not able to sell in time, we were not able to raise enough capital in time to make sure we were able to do justice to the offline GTM. It's when the inventory came back is when we got stuck because that inventory had not been planned for our online sales. So, which was one of the biggest challenges that we faced. And the good part is that we are in the innerwear segment. It's a core product segment. So it's not fashion. It is never going out of stock. It doesn't have a shelf life. But the tougher part when you land up in a situation like this is that you can't do new category addition very fast or even do a lot of new product innovation because you're stuck with that inventory. So the biggest lesson that we learned from our mistake was that when you're trying a new GTM, then although going aggressive sounds, for the growth pressures that you have, it sounds very attractive. You need to build on those numbers. But we should have taken a more conservative approach and taken a more planned approach, understood the trends in each and every market, and then planned our inventory instead of going as aggressive as we did.
Thanks, Vani. So clearly, going in a planned way, having a very clear idea of how many point of sales you're opening, what inventory you need to build up for those many point of sales, what lead time would be.
Yeah, so that should have been our online model. We tried to translate the online model directly to the offline model. We have understood the challenges of that model first. And even though we did a smaller pilot, we stuck to only North India. I think we should have taken more time. So if we took 3 months to launch it, we shouldn't have come under pressure. We should have taken 6 to 9 months to launch it. Would have planned our inventory better.
Got it. So Amar, I'll come to you because you are going through a similar kind of phase and you have an additional set of challenge of not having a lot of core inventory. You are into more fashion inventory where you're churning out new styles and new designs. So with that in place, how are you planning your offline expansion as of now?
When we started completely online. We were on D2C, we were not even on marketplaces. So we were very minimal in terms of our SKUs, say hardly around had 3 styles, which is the sneakers, loafers, and the joggers, and only had, say, maybe altogether around 15 options. We started very, very small. We did build a community around our entire platform, entire industry in terms of shoes. So we wanted to talk more about our product and what exactly we do. So we wanted to first create a cult, create a community around our product, and then maybe build on the inventory. So it's been a journey because what happens is if you are in fashion, what we have realized in 6-7 years is that fashion is all about managing your inventory very well. And you will have slow movers, or you'll have slow movers, fast movers, or you can say you'll have core products. But ultimately what happens is it's the game of completely looking at the slow movers, which actually spoils the cash flow as well. And plus then you have to take calls which you don't want to take. And retail is all about, okay, Neeman's ne store khola hai, Neeman's ne store band kar diya. So we took this call very, very late. In fact, after 5 years of operations online, we, after building a community on our website, D2C, then went to marketplaces on Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra. Then finally we started retail. So when we started retail, what we did is, which are the areas or which are the sections or which are the pin codes which do really well for us. We went to Hyderabad, we went to Mumbai, we went to Bangalore, we went to Delhi. So these pockets do really well for us as a pin code. So we saw that now we are, say, having, for example, 15 SKUs when we started in 2023. 15 SKUs. Now we want to enhance our portfolio so that when we are going offline, people will need more and more variety. 15 is like, in 15 you will try to sell as many products as possible. You will not give more options. You will market only those 15 SKUs with 50 options around. But with retail, like every consumer is different. He wants an open footwear, he wants a closed footwear, he wants something for running, something for jogging, some slip-on. So different categories. So that means you have to launch more products, more products. So right now we are close to 80 SKUs and options could be around 600 to 800 options. So it's a big, big challenge. So what we have done is we have picked up the hero products of our own website. And since these pin codes do really well for us, or these areas do really well for us. So in last 16 months, we have opened just 13 to 14 stores. Reason is because we have said every store is a learning. Now being a VC fund company, hungry for growth, it's not easy to go for growth when you have a lot of capital, but we said we will learn it from ground up. Because retail is a completely different ball game. Online is, you probably, if you have an issue, you discount, you liquidate the product. But offline is like you have to be patient. You have to have 3 months of inventory, 4 months of inventory, 5 months of inventory. So we said that we will play with the data, we will go small. So we started our stores, say, again, footwear, you need to store around 60 to 90 days of inventory within the store. And that means size 5 to size 12. Again, in 4 options. That means I have to have, if I want to sell 500 products a month, I need to have 1,500 of shoe boxes within my unit, which takes away 300 to 400 square feet of my place. So that means I have to do really well in terms of choosing the products which go really well for the store. What does well, what could give me more higher ASPs, and could give me faster returns. So I picked up my hero products and scaled upon each learning. And then eventually in the last 16 months, then we realized that it's a journey which we need to take. So first store was 300 to 500 square feet. Now we go into 1,000 square feet stores. We have realized it's all about inventory optimization. So we learn. Again, to be very, very honest, there is no tailor-made solution for inventory challenges. You will have challenges, you will have stock out options, but you have to live with it, and you have to keep optimizing on a day-to-day basis. You have to look at replenishing it very, very fast. So what we have done is in these cities, we have also opened up warehouses. So that means we have twice replenishing the stock there. So we are real-time basis, whatever is data has been captured, what is the consumer asking, we're checking with them. And more or less trying to build on a weekly basis, okay, this is the VM which we need to have, this is the visual merchandise which we need to build upon, this is how the product is there, what is on eye line that needs to be seen. So all of these learnings are, I would say, on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis. So ultimately it's understanding your data better, understanding what is selling, what is not selling, and whatever is not selling, liquidate it fast, because it's all, and again, if it's carried forward to the next season, then it gets stuck, then ultimately you will not buy it.
Got it. So Sandip, with you, again, a very different challenge as compared to all the panel members is, one part is launching a new brand and exploring that market. One part is where you have an existing established brand, but in entirely another market, and bringing that brand over here where the same brand might have a different demand pattern, might have a different target customer, might have a different entire data or the way things are selling. So in your case, how did you manage or plan your inventory for an entirely new market for an established brand?
So managed is actually a process we are still managing. And I don't think anyone into the footwear business would say that they have perfected the inventory challenge. Because for every pair or odd that is on display in a footwear store, there are minimum 6 to 8 pairs behind in the stock room. And this is the biggest challenge of our business. While listening to Amar, I was realizing that 80 SKUs, in our case, if you walk into a Bugatti store, you'll find at least 300 SKUs, shoes. Accessories are over and above that. Because we are doing multiple categories. So if you split it first between genders, men and women, and then in categories of each of them. So there is formal, there is sneakers, there is open, and dwell into each of them. Even after having 300, 320 SKUs roughly for a store, customers would say, specifically ladies, you have only 6 options in high heels. So the requirement is far larger, and there is no clear answer to it. We have been working on it, and maybe as technology improves further, we can find some solutions. However, if I look at the overall numbers, our objective has been to keep the inventory at a 4 to 5 months of sales in the ratio, but it has been a challenge because seasonalities change, expected sales versus, for example, SS24 was not that great for the industry across the board. So many of you who's in retail would have experienced that this was not a great season, and hence inventory would have piled up. So what we have been doing is trying to improvise as much as possible, expand, challenge each of the provisions. So if our EBO business has been slower, the mono brand has been slower, we have kind of managed and respread that inventory into the online business, which has picked up pretty well. So the online-offline sync helps because we manage the inventory both together. On the other side, with the flexibility that we have, since we also manage majority of our production globally from India, we've had the option of finding out our bestsellers early in the season and getting their refill done pretty quickly. Now, that helps because typically in a footwear business, getting a shoe, if it is selling well for you, coming back takes easily more than 90 to 120 days. 90 days is easy. In our case, we try to do it within 60. But customer at times is even not willing to wait for 2 months. However, it still is a lesser problem for me in footwear than many of the other brands who can probably only produce twice a year. So it's a mix of all of this. You redistribute your inventory across channels, or even a strong merchandising mix of moving inventory between between cities. For example, something that is doing well in Hyderabad and not in Delhi, at times though expensive, we have to do because you realize that Hyderabad is already cut size in open footwear, and it is a very strong open footwear market compared to Delhi. And in the initial allocation, since Delhi is our top store, we'd allocated everything to that store. So those mixes you keep on playing between stores, between channels, and try to manage the inventory. However, if you look at even the best standards of inventory management in the industry, you can go to the listed companies and see the kind of inventories that they have. It's a challenge. I don't think any one of us have found a permanent solution to. It's a work in progress for all of us.
Got it. So, okay, so now we'll focus upon, so we know the problem, the key problems of each and every type of business. We know what strategies are in place, how you're trying to mitigate it. Now we'll also spend some time on what technologies you are using, what tech you are using, what you plan to use, maybe not today, but you are looking out for in future to address these problems. So starting with you, Jeevika. So I think you talked about bestseller management, identification of bestsellers and banking on bestsellers for better sales, as well as your assortment being a very niche assortment, new kind of categories, etc. So how are you currently, if you're using any technology, any tech product, or using even spreadsheets, how are you planning your inventories, optimizing your inventories on a day-to-day basis today?
Sure. So we're very tech light. I mean, tech is obviously an enabler for us, but there's no prime technology per se. We're using fairly basic, fairly available like ecosystem, whether like you said, like spreadsheets, Shopify and all of that is how we've been functional till now. Of course, you know, tomorrow if we were to expand offline, then there are these options like there's this startup called Light Store that has, you know, like sensors that they put where if you enter the store, you can identify the gender, etc. So that'll be the future, but for now we're very tech light, yeah.
Amar?
So again, since we are on Shopify and we use Wondersoft for our retail, and which is our retail POS, and we use WMS is Unicommerce. And again, these two are the bridge where we can get all the information. But for data, I think we are still thriving because we are working on Power BI and we are working on FlowSmart to understand how the supply chain is there. And similarly also working on BY as a data analytics tool in terms of looking at the inventory, in terms of looking at what is doing well, what is not doing well, what needs to be liquidated, what needs to be moved in fast, what is the turnaround time for inventory, or what we can get in just in time to ensure that the inventory is replenished faster. So majorly we look at Power BI and BIVA to understand the data better. And it's also because as and when we keep growing, maybe we can evolve further and maybe look at much better tools in the market, and I'm sure INCREF at some point of time also could add value. So it's a journey. So at the moment, it was, when we started off, it was more on spreadsheets, but we realized quickly that spreadsheets don't really give a clear example because you have to refer number of spreadsheets, and ultimately what happens is you get lost in email trail.
So we use everything very similar, same tech stack, except we use 𝐤𝐳𝐶om instead of.
So ultimately what happens is then you take wrong decisions, you don't get this correct data flowing in, and then that inventory stays at home. So what is required is look at data very, very closely. So I always believe that every CEO or the founder should be a data guy. That is first. Data and finance, numbers crunching is should be the core of everybody. And the good part is that we have not mastered it, but we have started learning in our journey that we know that data is something which will thrive us forward. Understanding the financial limitations that most founders have, we should be probably working on that piece. So it is, I think, it can be only. It's like as you grow in your journey, you will get much better tools, could be a little expensive also, but it will solve your problem, and as good as understanding the entire audience would help you there.
Got it. So currently, if I understand correctly, analysis is like the core point which you are focusing technology on, or banking on technology for. Yes. Okay. Sandip.
So in terms of gathering data, managing, we actually are working with 3 different softwares. Our WMS in the backend works on Vinculum. We have SAP to work on the global setup between here and Germany. And on retail front, we work on Retail Pro. Now, interface of 3 softwares is always a nightmare. So you end up losing something here or there. And at times, let's say the automation of moving data from here to there doesn't work, and you have Excel uploads. So that has been a challenge for us. Data is important for predicting every decision that we do. Specifically, since in our business, we have to place orders almost 6 to 10 months in advance. So for all orders of SS25, we've almost already closed the factory orders right now, or maximum we'll have time till 15th of September. So it is a very long period of time for which we have to predict, and it is for us a struggle because we are gathering data basis what colors sold, what category of footwear sold, if it's an open footwear, if it's a closed footwear, is without laces, with laces, and then there are last types. So you have wide last, you have pointed last, and every market behaves differently. The European lasts typically are more pointed, whereas the US lasts are wider. So there is a customer preference in India for both, which is different for different markets. So the North typically has more wider feet, South would have smaller, Northeast is much smaller, so accordingly the last and the shoe shapes keep on changing. So trying to capture all the data formats, colorways together to take the decision becomes the key. So while we try working on it, a strong BIS, and if there is something which can take care of all the 3 softwares work together, can actually be a lot easier thing for any brand to work with.
Got it. Vani?
So I'll give an example, a real-world example of how tech helped us. I spoke about our inventory struggles and the offline GTM. So March, we had a negative sales. We had so much returns. July, we closed at EBITDA positive. We stabilized our sales, and tech helped us turn this around in 6 months. We used tech at 3 levels. One was, of course, to predict inventory, which we're still doing. Then we also use tech because we sell online as well, and online products are sold in combos. So we use it to figure out, let's say I have a combo of 4 bras and they have 4 components obviously. So we will input the 4 components and we use Vinculum as a front end and we have a customized backend software. So the moment I input that, okay, these 4 combos are in place, these 4 components are in place, the combo gets made. So we use tech to understand that those 4 components, which are the combos that are selling the best. So to use the front end. Now, of course, the two have to be integrated. The third part that we use tech on, which actually helped us turn everything around in terms of, as I said, EBITDA positive and stabilized sales, every data, so obviously, as he said, interface is a problem, to pulling all the data together. So for us, inventory is automated, all our products are on cloud, so all the platforms are showing the same inventory, the product gets subtracted. What we do then is we use Vinculum and we use our in-house, when we pull all the data together, we are creating now dashboards for this. At this point, the process is still manual, where an SKU-wise profitability analysis is done. And based on that, the dashboard tells us which product to sell, at which platform, at what price, and how has it been profitable, what kind of sales can we expect from there. So that has really helped us in pricing it right. So the same product, the same combo may be priced at 3 different prices in 3 different platforms, but it's still working for us. Because we've taken out the data, taken out that analysis from our internal softwares and done the pricing accordingly and been able to liquidate a lot of stock. And while at the same time, despite having those inventory issues, we did not do heavy discounting. We didn't discount anything beyond 25 to 30% to liquidate that stock.
Got it. Ashutosh?
So as a new brand, we are using like a bunch of softwares right now to recognize our customers, and obviously the inventory planning is very important. So we are using Shopify right now as a website, and then we are using Microsoft Clarity to analyze the customer data, which help us to recognize like which area and what is the behavior of customer, which category. So we very precisely analyze our customers, like on which page customer is like giving time, because what we have concluded that time spent on a website is directly proportional to sale. Like whatever the time a customer is spending on your website, if the more is the time, more is the sale. So we do it on category basis also, like we have lots of category. For example, if we have any pant or any t-shirt category, and if a customer is, like lots of customers are not paying that much time on that category, we think, okay, we need to add more product or we need to work on the design. So that help us, like Clarity help us from there. We use Google Analytics to recognize which is the best market. For example, Maharashtra, mainly Mumbai is the market, which is like in the fashion scene best for us right now. And then also, we use like some AI tools to recognize the customers, because in e-commerce scene, RTO is the main pain for us, which I think the return order where the inventory also get blocked for lots of days, I guess 15 to 30 days minimum it get blocked. So in the starting, when we started, we were getting lots of orders from Northeast, because Northeast is like a little bit fashion ahead in India for the products that we do. But later on, we recognized that, okay, the RTO scene is so much in those Northeast area or Jammu Kashmir, Leh Ladakh. So we recognize, okay, what we have to do to like make the RTO lesser in those areas. So we plan up with the local vendors who are like local shipping companies, the national shipping companies. We are working in Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 city to deliver. And locals, we are working in Jammu Kashmir and Northeast. So they are doing pretty well. We reduced our RTOs from there. We are also using Unicommerce as a cloud data for our inventory management. So because we are on right now on our D2C website and premium marketplaces like Myntra, Ajio, Flipkart. So all our data are on a cloud. Like, so if there is 20 article with us, so it's distributed everywhere, like it happens in Unicommerce. But our major focus right now is to analyze the data and see like what our customers really want and what they are not liking. So if they're not liking anything, we are not giving much heat to that very particular product. Or also, there should be like, if you're a new brand, you also need to work on a category. If you are having 2-3 products in a category, obviously some customer will click your ad, they will come to your page, they will see, okay, there are 2-3 products only, they are not looking like a brand or something. So the main aim is right now to establish yourself as a brand. You also need to launch regular products, regular articles within like 15 or 30 days of span. So the inventory planning, the customer behavior, we keep all hand in hand to recognize the data.
So Ashutosh, I believe the kind of business you're trying to run with the refresh rate you're targeting, launches of new styles every month, you would be also facing a lot of manpower issues where technology can help you with automations, right?
Yes, because there is lots of micromanagement. So how we tackling it right now, we are keeping the base things common, which I told, like the fabrics may be common for 2-3 designs, the trims may be common for 2-3 designs. But still the pain is like some of the products are coming from China, some tag which are not, some buttons which are not getting produced in India. So it takes time for the shipping, and you have to recognize what is going to be the demand for that particular trims also, that particular fabrics also that we are sourcing. So yes, this is the pain right now, but mostly we are doing right now is working on the manual part, because we are recognizing the stuff. We are not using any software for that. But yeah, in long run, I think we need something to optimize this thing. Yeah.
Got it. So the underlying current across all the experiences you have all shared and the plans to use technology is to primarily classify how you want to leverage technology in two areas. One is on the analysis side, a lot of analysis, which gives you better insight to take decision on what inventory to plan, how many options, how much quantity to plan. And on the other side, and on the automation side, that what are the day-to-day activities which can be kind of automated so that people who are working on repeated things, operational things, can focus more on strategic nuances. So on the analysis side, two of the things where we focused, two of the things which came up in the discussion, we focused more on the merchandise financial planning side, where most of you shared a common problem of facing a challenge of when you're launching a launching in a new market, opening a new store, or growing a new business, how to plan or plan your financial targets or KPIs like margins, discounts, revenues for these particular new segments or new markets which you're planning for. So that is the merchandise financial planning aspect of it which you talked about. But Sandip, you briefly touched upon the problems faced in the analysis for the assortment planning part, because like the size, the example on the size and the width of the shoes which you touched upon, I'm sure each one of you will have your brand specific nuances which are specific to certain attributes of your brands, of your categories, which create these kind of challenges which you would want to address one by one. So Jeevika, with you. So
In terms of inventory or just
no, in
category
terms of the
challenges?
and so it's all of us sitting here are apart from I think Vani, but most of us would be having a lot of fashion articles. You wouldn't be continuing the same articles.
Yeah.
So analysis can only help you so much. The style level
Correct.
analysis can help
Yeah.
you only so much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So once again, very relevant to us because we are a sustainable brand, which means that we are actually away from the pressure of the fast fashion brands that there's a collection every second week, right? Which makes it even more challenging for us because we actually, essentially the best way to sustainability is to not launch anything at all, right? In fashion, there's enough. But the idea is to find the need gap, find what's not been done before. And especially in India, it's a great opportunity because it's never been done before, to give them an option to go the sustainable way. For us, it's very, very challenging because a single pair of leggings is meant to last 10 years. Then why would a consumer come back to us? They really don't need another pair of leggings. So when, people are discussing repeats and all of that, an ideal situation is you don't need to come back. You're good with one pair of leggings. How we at Aastey have been expanding our multiple categories is that, of course, while bottom wear is our prime category, we provide different options in bottom wear, but everything, whether it was our collection 1 or we recently had collection 6, everything sort of matches with each other. So this is a big fashion question about the brand. This was our first collection. It has that purple piping. This t-shirt was launched after we came to Shark Tank and said the word Namaste. And now it's all complementing each other, and that's every part of our collection. And that's how we ensure that, we are still part of the consumer journey. The consumer is coming back for the big fashion quotient as well. And they can find more things in their wardrobe from us instead of just a single pair of leggings. And they can just make wiser choices by switching to us.
Yeah. Amar?
So again, as Sandip pointed out, that assortment planning is extremely important. So what we do is whenever we launch a new product, for us it's extremely important is why are we launching and what are the categories we are going after. Like we go after the day-to-day wear, or we go after the consumer who starts his day with one shoe and ends his day with one shoe. So that means we're going after the comfort category. So when we go after the comfort category, how can we solve this problem with minimalist design? And so we first go after the blacks, blues and grays. So that is something which we look at in terms of saying that these are the safer audience, and these are something which go with our brand ideologies. So unlike some other brands where they focus on bringing in all the colors, by adding a lot of flashy colors, so ultimately that also has a pain point in terms of something or the other way may not sell. Now, like when I and Sandip were talking to you offline, so we were saying that the ones which we feel will do extremely well, but they don't. Because it is our choice. We feel that, oh, this is a yellow color and it will fly off the shelf. No, it doesn't. So consumer is the king. So ultimately what happens is we need to first respect the consumer, and we have to think that what exactly really does well for us. So we pick up the minimalistic designs, we pick up black, red and blue, and we try to create more designs around the same. And we have created categories. Say one would be the slip-on category, one would be the sneakers category, that is with lace, one would be the walking category, one would be the running category. And then you have the open footwear, then you have the sandal category. Ultimately what happens in these categories, we keep on adding products. So as per the season, we keep adding products, and when we add products, whatever were there in the last season, and that if anything is done exceptionally well, so we add them as our core products.
Understood.
Because what are we known for? Then similarly, we add in few more collections, which could be the collections as new arrivals. And since we are still not that heavy in terms of SKUs, or because we still have 80, 90 SKUs, so we're still penetrating within the market, and we want to keep our catalog as minimal as possible. The reason is because if you have more and more options, more and more choices, it is endless. I would say, because in our industry, as Sandip rightly pointed out, they are legacy brands which have more than 1,000 SKUs, more than 2,000 SKUs. Some of the listed companies, like, I really go gaga, and when I talk to them, like I'll give you an example. I was talking to one of the biggest startup of the country, and one of the biggest in terms of failures within the country because of heavy inventory is Big Bazaar. So I was talking to Mr. Sadasif, who was the CEO. He said that I told him that when I was at 20, 25 SKUs, I told him that I want to expand, and in next 2-3 years, I would be 250 SKUs. He said that, why do you want to expand? We are the biggest failures of not optimizing the inventory well. So at the end, that 100, 200, 300 SKUs or 1,000 SKUs, but 20% of the SKUs will bring 80% of the business. So understand that data well, understand the cash flow well, understand how is it flowing, why, what is the consumer asking, what is the trend, and are you adaptive to the trend or not? You need to understand what is going on within the country in terms of data, what is being adopted from the West. So it's a work in progress always. So ultimately what needs to happen is that you go some SKUs which will not do well, you have to take up an alternative for that, alternative route, maybe go out for a factory clearance and liquidate that particular product and look at some other market. Because at the end, if that inventory is lying at your warehouse even after a year, you might be emotional about it that you don't want to sell. I would say that no, your cash flow is sitting and you're not able to plan something else. So you have in fashion, it is part of the industry, core products, slow movers, fast movers, all of those will be there. So you need to plan and look at your data very, very deeply.
Got it. So just to summarize in the interest of time, so I mean, assortment planning is essential as far as it's like one of the key levers to optimize your inventory. The right amount of SKUs, the right number of pieces for each SKU. That planning is very, very essential. To start with, people should leverage technology to assess and analyze their bestsellers, their top performers, make them news, make them never out of stock, bank on them. For the rest of the assortment, where you need to churn out new designs, new styles, new SKUs, there you need to leverage a lot on attribute level analysis, where what price points are working for you in a particular market, what fabric types are working for you, what colors, in your case you mentioned colors also as an important attribute. So for your specific brand, your specific category, what attributes are working and not working, bump up your analysis at that level, if not at because style level analysis is any which way becomes irrelevant, you're not going to continue the style, and leverage that for your entire assortment planning activity. So any other points? I mean, we are at the closing minute, but any other important point which someone would want to add?
So I think more than assortment for somebody like us, it's also functionalities. For an innerwear business, 70% comes from core, but for the remaining 30%, the fashion element may be one part of it, but the functionality element, the R&D has to be constantly done. So that is where assortment planning comes in, as in what new functionality are you bringing to the market, because that innovation has to happen in innerwear, and you need to look at the competition or what they are bringing in. For example, when we started period panties, it was a basic product. Now, if you go and look in the market, there'll be seamless period panties, there'll be period panties with different fits. So that functionality keeps getting added to the market. There's a competitor analysis that needs to be done, a Google trend analysis that needs to be done, and the CRM part. So all of that has to be integrated into technology, and a lot of it is very human resource driven. So that is a challenge because you're finding the information, we are doing college activations, getting the information, but it needs to be fed into a system so that the reporting back to you, the feedback mechanism is more automated. That I think is a challenge, which, I mean, it's still very human driven. If that can be automated, we put that in dashboards, that will solve a lot of problems for assortment planning.
Yeah. So just one last point from my side. So doing analysis and arriving at the right plan is one side of it, but also leveraging technology to maintain and follow that plan is also very essential. That you have created an assortment plan, but how technology is helping you to maintain that assortment plan on an ongoing basis, I think that will also add a lot of value in inventory optimization. So thank you so much. Thank you each of you. You've been a great panel. A pleasure to having been in this discussion with you. Thank you for your time. Thank you audience. Thanks everyone.